You need to spend more time planning your marriage than your wedding. Hi, this is Justin from Money Bootcamp. Today's Personal Finance Friday question is around planning your relationship, and in many cases this means planning your marriage rather than focusing on specific events like planning your wedding. So many people will fall into the trap of getting caught up in specific moments such as events, and they will in fact spend more time planning for their holidays in the year than they will planning their overall goals for the next year, 2 or 3. In the same way that people will spend more time planning for their wedding than how they want their marriage to be. This is a mistake I see with many people I talk to in general, and with all of my financial planning clients I typically will encourage them to do the opposite here. So to spend more time on the long-term planning for the marriage rather than the wedding. The trap here is in not talking about the serious stuff. So just saying, oh, we'll get to that later, but later never comes. Many people, when they're in a relationship, will just fall from one stage to another. So this is called sliding. So rather than specifically sit down and plan what you want and talk about what you want, so you seriously come together and align your values and align your goals, people will actually just slide from one situation to another. So if you end up moving in together, you get a pet, you combine some expenses, these things can just naturally happen at times and people don't necessarily talk about the broader implications. Then people find they've been living together, they feel like they should get married, they should have kids, they should do this or that, but again, they don't necessarily think about it too much all of the time. They just slide from one place to another. This can be fine for a lot of people and can work out perfectly okay, but sometimes it can lead to some big problems. If you are someone who really wants to have kids and your partner is not, and you've never discussed this, you can just continue sliding further and further into a more tightly bound relationship, and there is actually this deal breaker that is there that when you get to it, which if you don't purposefully talk about, could be years after you should have talked about it, could end up coming out and really driving a wedge in the relationship. As your relationships progress, it's really important to have some of these serious conversations. You need to discuss the serious points of how you want to live together. These can start with very quick chats. You don't have to go into everything immediately. You can start it with a quick chat. You can have a little bit of a discussion and then come back to it. And even sometimes, as these things can get heated, they're very serious, it can be good to talk a little bit about it and then park it and say, let's talk about this in another few weeks. Some of these talking points for you are where to live, where you want to settle down in the long run. Do you want to buy a home? Do you want to rent? Do you actually want to travel? Is the career path you plan on taking one that's going to be settled in a country or a region? Or are you going to have to move around over the years and go from country to country? If you are someone who values your career and your partner is more valuing staying in one place and being settled, that's something that you're going to need to discuss and come to some sort of an arrangement that suits both of you. How will your family life look? Do you want to have kids? Do you need to be close to your family? Do you need to live within an hour's drive from your family? Do you actually not want to live within an hour's drive from your family? These are important things to discuss. Is there the chance that you will actually need to take care of family members as you age? So maybe one of your parents or relatives is actually already ill or is developing an illness which will need more and more care as they age, and you may have to be the person who gets involved with that, or you may even have to take an elderly parent into your house at some stage. Again, these are really serious discussions to have, and you need to make sure the other person is on board. Or at times, sometimes these things can just take time to get comfortable with the idea of, so introducing it early on can be good to even let the idea percolate. As you get into a more and more serious relationship, you actually need to plan for what happens if one of you was to get a serious illness or even die. As your personal and financial lives blend together, you do need a plan, especially if you have kids. What is going to happen if you get ill or if you die? Who's going to look after the kids? How are they going to be financially supported? Do you have a will in place? Do you have the appropriate life insurance or illness insurance in place to make sure you are not going to end up in poverty or in a really awkward situation because you haven't planned for some of these things? These are seriously tough topics. They can be extremely awkward and extremely emotionally charged. So with this, take them bit by bit. Have a very quick conversation initially, and then with time, develop them into larger conversations where you go more in depth. You can't plan for all eventualities, but by having aligned values, by having discussions and plans in place, even having some backups ready will help you in case of some of these eventualities. If you don't know where to start with this, talk to someone a bit older than you who you trust. If you're really unsure, you can contact me, justin@moneybootcamp.com, or contact us through our Facebook or the form on our website, and we can help you with this. They're really hard areas to discuss, and sometimes it can help just having an external person to help guide you through this. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share. If you have your own questions, send them to us and we'll answer them as soon as possible. Money Bootcamp, learn money, live better.